Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's webinar by myself, Dan Booth, and Hans, on the potential use of Power Apps within organisations to remove manual processes outside of your ERP system or any system, really. We have got some sort of Power Apps to show and ideas of it, but a lot of this is really around the premise of Power Apps. What is Power Apps? How they can be used? What different types of Power Apps there are and how they can be used in the organisation to really bring structure and governance to your manual processes. So there is a fair amount of PowerPoint, but we will get to sort of look at some of these apps towards the end of the session. Just as a welcome and introduction, a little bit about me. So I'm Dan. I joined Hans in 2014 as the systems accountant. My background is senior qualified accountant, but one of the skills I have is around data governance, really understanding data sources and trying to make organisations as lean in their processing as possible. One source of data entry where possible, trying to keep structure and trying to keep systems used for what they need to be used for and not loading systems with duplicate data that just causes problems to all users, really. And obviously, as part of that, now I'm sort of pre-sales in Business Central, the new Microsoft technology in Power Platform. So that includes Power Apps, Power BI, Power Automate, and things like that, just to show how organizations can really use the tools that Microsoft are giving to organizations and that we use daily at Hans to really try and provide structure and governance of the manual processes within your organization. During the session, all the lines are set to mute to avoid any unnecessary noise interference. And because the presentation, I've done a number of Power Platform based things, and a lot of the questions are very generic, organizational specific. So at any point in the presentation, please feel free to type questions into the chat panel. And what I will do is afterwards, after the session has ended, we will go through the questions and I will answer them offline by email. If you want to wait until the very end of the session, should be about 30-40 minutes, my contact details will be provided on the final slide, and please do feel free to get in contact with me on with anything that you have, any queries that you have over what you see over the next 30-40 minutes or so. Quick agenda. So we're going to go through, first of all, for those who don't really know what a Power App is, it's part of Microsoft Power Platform. So we'll just do a quick introductory couple of slides with regards to that. We'll then start talking about how Power Apps can really provide that structured governance to your manual data entry points. We'll go through some examples of Power Apps and how they integrate with our ERP systems or how they stand alone, and how easy it is to report on the Power Apps as well and get data analytics from them. And then a couple of summary slides at the end, as you would expect from us at Hans on how we can help you in Power Apps and Power Platform, and then the contact details. So we're going to start with what is a Power App, and it's part of Microsoft Power Platform. Now, the Power Platform is a suite of cloud-based solutions that Microsoft have developed to meet the sort of evolving technology needs of all businesses and organizations across all sectors. So, all the solutions that you see there as part of this Microsoft D365, you've got your Office products and the Power Platform of Power BI, Power Automate, AI Builder, chatbots, and things like that. But these all seamlessly talk to each other out of the box. So there's no need for third-party sort of analysis there. They all seamlessly talk to each other. But then obviously Microsoft, because these are the cloud-based products and customers are still on-premise using GP and things like that, we're very keen to ensure that on-prem and third-party applications were supported by this. And this is where they enhance this with data connectors as part of the overall solution. So applications like GP can still leverage all the really good facilities from and functionality across that Power Platform. And over today, what we'll be doing, we're going to specifically look at the Power App section. That's the title of the session. We're going to be looking at Power Apps and how Power Apps can be used to add that structure, the governance to your manual processes. But what we're also going to be referencing throughout the session is links to Power Automate, links to Power BI for your analytics, Power Automate for your workflows, to really make that data that is either being pulled into a Power App, exported from a Power App to one of your ERP systems or your CRM system, really provide that full solution and really maximizing what Power Apps can do for you as an organization on an analytical reporting. So what are Power Apps? Well, they are a suite of apps, services and connectors, and a data platform. And this is one of the things that customers, whenever we're speaking to them now about Power Apps, the question is, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do the other? Well, yeah, really, yes, it can. It's a platform, it's a structure that Microsoft have provided that can be built upon with the different tools provided, so that you have a real opportunity as an organization to customize and build these customized apps to meet all of your business requirements. So it really is quite a powerful tool that is provided a Power App. It does give almost bespoke applications that you can build and have meeting every part of your business need with the development of these apps. And you can really quickly build some of these apps. I mean, we've worked with customers where we built apps in a day, going through, all depends on the type of sort of data and how complex it is for obvious reasons. But these apps can connect to your business data that's stored in a number of different sorts of systems. So the underlying data platform, we can pull data in from BC, Business Central, from GP, from CRM, all across that Dataverse, a common data model, how, you know, Dataverse is the new name of it. Online sources, on-premise data, you know, so we talked about it before, such as GP, via SQL-backed data. So anything that is SQL, API sort of back, or DBC back, all that sort of analysis can be pulled into a Power App to then provide structure for additional things. So, you know, one of the things we're going to show you later is a new customer app where new customer requests go through. You may have some logic in your GP, your finance system, that you want to apply, such as a posting group, such as a set, such as account structure. All that logic can pull through into the app, but the data entry is within the app, and it can go through an approval process. This means that you're using Power Apps to structure what could be a manual process at the moment, could be a manual sort of email, could have people filling out paper forms, Word documents. You can really provide that and report on that via the Power Apps. And even, you know, we go as far as to say, even you have an Excel spreadsheet, you can link that to a Power App. If you had a source Excel spreadsheet that you wanted to show data in a Power App, we can do it with that. So you really do have a lot of flexibility around what sort of data Power Apps can hold and from different sources, or you can have a blank canvas where you just start from scratch and your whole data, which you'll see some examples of later. Yeah, we normally don't do this on the webinars, but I do think it's also very keen to show the Power Apps licensing costs. So, you know, this isn't something, we have to develop the costs. So if you're working with us, we obviously you've got our consultancy with it. But actually to license Power Apps through Microsoft, you know, these are standard pricing. So any charities, and I know there's a number on the webinar, your charity pricing is a lot less than this. But, you know, you get these nice, great sort of functionality at a really good per user per month price. You know, the per app plan. So if you're only using one app, you see as it is there. But you connect into your data, you connect into any type of data. You've got a large sort of pooled database capacity based on your number of users on your Office 365. So you do have a lot of, you know, you can attach documents, you've got that full auditable trail. And, you know, as it's part of that stack, the Microsoft Stack, the Power Platform, you can use Power Automate, you've got that. You've got your real-time workflows that you can add in if you want approval processes in there. So you do have, within that price per user per month, a lot of functionality. And for customers who are using more than one app, then the per user plan, you know, if you've got, as you see there, if you've got more than 4 apps, in these organizations, you're cheaper doing it on a per user plan. You can swap licenses anytime they're assigned to a person. So, you know, you have got the flexibility to really be cost efficient using Power Apps for your organization as well. And there are different types of Power Apps within there. So you've got your different licensing, but we have different types of what we can build and what Power Apps allow you to build. So, and I'll touch on these a bit more later, but you can give internal and external users access via a Power App portal. You've got model-driven apps, and technically that is just sort of your CRM sort of layouts with your advanced views, not, you know, the very functional, very structured, and we'll go through a couple of model-driven apps later as well. But you've then got your canvas apps where you can really tailor what they look like. You can add nice visuals in there. You've got lots of different things you can do to really make that user experience, especially for people. And you know, we built expense apps, our purchasing expense management apps to Business Central, to GP, to you know, a standalone app as well that manages that. And the user experience of that is a canvas app, and it's a lot easier to use for people who aren't financially minded, who aren't structured in their way. And we'll show you how that looks as well. And you know, the canvas app is on top of the model-driven app. You still have all your background data. Your canvas apps are nicer to look at, for want of a better phrase, in an organization. But what we can do, obviously dependent on what kind of app that customers need and customers want, we decide on the best approach, the quickest approach that will give organizations what they need in the best structure of what they need and best user interface as well, which is really good and allows us to really choose the right option for the type of Power App. Before we get into the apps themselves, I do want to stress this point that Power Apps really does enable structure and governance of your manual processes. And those who have been on webinars with myself in the past around reporting will recognize this next slide, because you know, this is based on an NFP, but you've got your ERP system with lots of detail in your ERP system. You've got your CRM systems, your other systems around it, but then you've also got your sort of manual processes. Every organization has got them: Excel spreadsheet, Word documents, manual forms. And you know, trying to understand that when you look at all the systems that need to talk to each other can get extremely complicated, especially on the sort of manual elements that have no structure, and you know, people spell things wrong, they do stuff. It really does cause problems. And you know, taking that away, looking at this and trying to make as decision makers in your organizations and trying to understand and govern that data to an auditable standard. When you take away the visuals, when you look at all them joins in that slide, what looked really nice at the beginning actually is an absolute complex web of different systems, different types, no real governance over some of them, different sorts of structures. And it does make it extremely complex and very difficult for people to try and to make that governed. And you know, as we're saying again, when you look at that, these manual processes in your organization are very, very key. They are, look at how many different arrows are pointing to these manual processes. They still have and still need to be governed to allow you to be able to get that ultimate aim and the utopia that every organization has, the 360-degree view of the report. You know, just to stress that, you know, there were 34 joins on the previous slide. 28 of them were looking at their manual entry points, and that's a lot of them that potentially, you know, and that's just an example. You might have more, you might have less, but you know, purely from that sort of well-looking slide at the beginning, there's a lot of things that really can be affected by manual data, and that's where Power Apps, structured, governed, processed, controlled, really do come into their own for organizations to really sort of streamline that process and really control that process. And you know, every system that you have will have common reference points, but there's absolutely no reason why your manual processes, by using Power Apps, The more common references here that you get into the system, the better that joined up reporting comes, and the more information you have across your impact reporting, across your sort of different things from different places, or your outcomes, your project outcomes, all that, which can be held differently and on Excel and all that. What we can do is Power Apps can be used to make sure that we have in the manual processes the common references as well, which then across that piece allows us to really bring together all that data for you. And you can bring that, you're giving yourself the best sort of footing as an organization to really understand your data the most. So, let's have a look at a few Power Apps now, and we'll go through the different sort of types of what they are. Going back to what we said before, we've got the three types. We've got model-driven apps, utilizing data from existing systems, Excel spreadsheets, all that sort of stuff. You've got the ability to search, add, change. You've got, use it for those who are comfortable and used to D365, very similar views. And what I would class model-driven apps as is functional. You've then got the Canvas app, the tailored apps, highly tailorable. They can connect to multiple data sources, and it's more complex. You can have that nice sort of user interface control, and you can embed Canvas apps into model-driven apps. So you can have it where it's a model-driven app, but there is a user interface within that that's a bit nicer for those to use. But your Canvas apps are your more tailored apps. And then we have the Power Portal, the Power App portals, which external users, your intranet, so it's a data entry, and these are really your collaboration elements. So all based on high volume users, and the pricing of that wasn't on the previous slide that I showed, because the pricing of that is based on number of logins per month. So these are for your larger organizations. So what we're going to do, and what we do at Enhance in the main, in the vast majority, are the model-driven and Canvas apps, which is what we're going to show. And these are some of the sort of use cases that we've done on model-driven apps and Canvas apps. So approval tool, booking forms, expense management. Those of you who use our ERP systems, you'll be able to. You've probably heard about creating expense management Power App. But we've got visitor trackers. So some organisations use Power Apps where somebody goes into a screen, it's on the tablet, they enter the name, the detail, that's stored as to what time they arrived, car registration number, all that, in a Power App instead of having to fill it out manually. HR requests, IT requests, sales invoices requests, subscription billing. It's not all about sort of stuff. Step counting. So if you're and we're doing this at Enhance at present, we are encouraging people. We're going to try and walk around the UK and Ireland across the organisation throughout May and June for charity, for Ukraine charity. And we use the Power Apps to log people's steps so that they can log on every day, see that. So it can be used for sort of well-being purposes within the organisation as well. And what we're going to look at today across, we've got expense management, a Canvas app, new customer forms, a simple model-driven app, visitor COVID tracker, a Canvas app, subscription billing, a model-driven app, and step counting, a Canvas app. So we're across the whole sort of spectrum of what we do. Different levels of complexity. The expense management, the subscription billing apps we've developed here at Enhance, 4 or 5 days of implementation for customers. The other apps are sort of you're wrapping a day, wrapping 2 days sorts of things, where we can do it, we can tailor, we can train users within your organizations to do this sort of stuff. So you can scale up, scale down in Power Apps, and we're going to go through some of these now. So I'm going to start with recurring billing. Subscription billing. This is the Power App. You access it either on your tablet, on your mobile phone, but this is it. Very CRM looking. And this app here is linked and looking at, is using Power Automate to look at BC data as well. And what this app does, and we have people using this app who are not licensed in Business Central, is pushing and pulling data from Business Central. So it's allowing people to have the data governance from BC. You're not maintaining, from that point of view. But people who are setting up memberships, subscriptions, you do not need to access them to the give them access to the finance system. This is where Power Apps can control and govern who has access to what in your organization as well. You see your nice little export to Excel. It's a model app. It's just columns. It's technically an Excel spreadsheet in app form. But, we can go in. If I wanted to create a new, you can determine which fields are mandatory. Contract name, so I can put the contact name, both. And just to show how this can happen, if I just go. This is now, because it's on Office 365, it's looking at who's got access to this. This is linking to Business Central, so we can log it to the Business Central companies. This is all governed from the data that's coming into the app, into the Power App, without people having to manage this, as part of linking what's coming into the app and looking at Business Central data from a different user interface. Choose your BC company, it filters down the customers by which customers are within your finance system. It's got all your codes, all your sort of salespeople codes, things like that. You can define different types of membership, and you can go all the way through this and have it where, if I have 2022 member, 12-month contract, I'm just going to put some really quick detail, because what I want to show is, if I just PL number. Oh, yeah, you can provide logic to this. So if this is creating an invoice, I want it to create an invoice. We're going to invoice annually, and I want the invoices to be created 60 days ahead of the contract start date. I then go to the invoicing lines because it technically is an invoice. Just save that. And then your invoicing line. So again, you're just using all the tools, Power Automate, Power Apps, across data to say invoice line 1. Choose your ERP company again, but now you filter in on items in Business Central. They're all here. Membership, status active, billing start date today, and that's 750 quid. Now, what this is going to do is then, because you've got, and this is where, this is, it's a model-driven app, but this is now going to, within 5 minutes, because the workflow is on a 5-minute loop, I just refresh that. Volume will come through shortly. This is going to create an invoice and push that through to Business Central without anybody being licensed in Business Central. Somebody will need to post that invoice in Business Central, which is the finance person, but you're governing that data. So you're now allowing more analysis through a Power App, but with a link to Business Central. So if I go into invoice batches, there's one there already. I'm just triggering a workflow through Power Automate to integrate to ERP. Save and close. And what will happen, if I just open, that's going to go through a process. If I just log into Business Central here, and I'll go on to a previous one that we've done, but Kent Academy Trust, posted sales invoice. You can see here in the system, this is generated, and it's generated into the system with a contract reference that then provides that reference link back to the app for that joined up reporting. So it's all about the consistency, the governance of data, and really that should have come through now into my sales invoices, because it is instant. There it is, the invoice is there awaiting posting in BC. The contract number, it's quarterly invoices. Really quick, really good analysis. But then we start to have that's quite a complex app. We can do, and we have done, literally small new customer request apps, new supplier request apps. And this one's linking to our GP system. But it's a simple app. I can go in, if I click new, it asks me for the company name, all the sort of details that you could have on a manual form. somebody's writing out or emailing to your team. This is structured, it provides all this data, you go and fill it in. There's a workflow. So if somebody then wants to approve that before it integrates, or before somebody integrates into your financial systems, that can be done. We can even, because this is a Power App, there's notes and attachments that can be logged in. So we can even trigger documents to be created. So if I look at Selfridges, here, this one, you can see T's and C's on the new custom request get generated via a Word template and sent by the app. When that comes back in and the customer sends it back in, that's stored against the app. And these statuses are updated in here. So if I look at my views, I've got awaiting approval, I've got awaiting T's and C's to be returned, and I've got T's and C's signed. And these automatically create this document and the customer in your financial system. And what that does then, it means that anybody can request that. You've got the governance of the approval workflow by the people who know what data should be there, but you're providing that structure. And then, these model-driven app. Then we go to the Canvas apps, and this is an example of the Canvas app. Purchasing expense. We'll look at expenses. So this is, and again, mobile phone compatible. People can log on to the app, they see this app, they see what people have access to. They can go on this app and enter an expense. They can come in, and to anybody who's got our purchasing expense management for BC version 2, this is actually version 3, which should be available towards the end of June. So there will be separate demos on that if you think this doesn't look like what you are seeing. But somebody can come in, a non-financial user, somebody entering an expense. This is just a different user interface for entering data. It could have been a model-driven app. It could have been the same sort of form that what you saw on the new custom request. This is a bit easier, a bit nicer to look at. So you can choose an account category that's linked to something in the background. Things come across, so these are like your analysis codes from GP, dimensions from BC, all within here. And you can add comments in. You can add line level attachments in. You've really got a full paperless, Power Apps allow you to move that paper process, your manual email processes, into a more structured, governed, auditable, stored process as this. And they, when they are approved and they can go through multi-levels of workflows, Power Automate workflows are all on top of Power Apps. You can really get some complex workflows in there for your approval. But when fully approved, that comes into the system. This is BC. Any attachments that are in purchasing expense management are also, because it's using SharePoint, again, something else in the Microsoft stack, is in here. You're really governing so that people who have access to Business Central, your financial systems, can get access to that data. But if I just go onto my expenses, the one we were looking at just there, if I wanted to look at the receipt for that, I can see it in the app as well. I can go in, I can open that, there it is. You're giving people access without giving them that structure, without giving them access to 2 or 3 different systems that they don't really need. And again, we're always thinking about these common references for your reporting. And then, we're looking at some of the other apps that I was showing before, and I'm moving on to our actual enhanced version now. So these are the apps that we've implemented. We use purchasing expense management, but these are little apps that we've implemented in our organization, simple apps. With COVID, site visit and consent. So somebody would come in when COVID was rife and if people requesting some of our consultants on site, they could come in, nice little compliance statement. And this is tailored for a mobile phone, as you can see. But you're saying why it is, you're saying the location. And that then allows us as an organization to have that consent and to have it registered in an app that can be reported on at any time, at any point. And again, you've got people using that for people visiting sites now, having it in reception where people type in the details and it just logs it, something like this. And then we've got like RM steps, as I was saying, we're walking around UK and Ireland. Just again, a simple power app that people access on the phone. They put through their number of steps on a day, the basis, or if they swam, how many kilometres they swam. All that is just governed. It's all about well-being. It's all around as we were all working from home and continue to, all about trying to think about well-being. And power apps goes into that level as well. And I think, as you can see, and I keep saying it, structure and governance. All of the power apps, membership and subscription billing, they're all your accounting tables, so you can analyze anything, slice and dice by any of the fields within a power app. If these are member, if I wanted to look at how many people, contract lines, invoices posted, all that analysis, all these fields, every field that is in a power app can be reported on across the piece. So this is our membership and subscription billing, pretty module based. Purchasing expense management, this is it. We can see at any time on expenses, what expenses are awaiting approval, what cost types are being done. You can have full analytics because you've got that structured data in the system. And just to show how easy it is to sort of link to that sort of data, if you've got Dataverse up here, Power App Dataverse, it's on there. Click on Dataverse. Because this is on your Office 365 tenant, if I wanted to go and find the new customer app and see what sort of levels of detail were there, I know generally you're only going to have one or two of these. This is obviously a test system. But if I look at the app that we were talking about, yeah, there you go. You can see here you've got entity list, CFC, customer. So that field within that path exists as a table, and there it is. So I can now add that and load that data quickly into a reporting model for importing. And we'll just see just how accessible this data is. So this is now linking to the background tables of the customer power app, and it's going to bring across every field that was available to enter data against on that app. And I'm sharing the screen, so it will be a little bit slower than possible, but this takes seconds. And now within this model, that table is there. If I just look at this table, you've got some GUIDs, but you've got created on date and time. You've got who the person who created it was. You've got who it's been modified by. If I just scroll across over here, you've got your company names. You've got your address details, your contact details. You've got your different addresses. You've got your request status, so you can see exactly what status it's at any one time. And all these fields can be reported on. We've got document sign IDs, we've got different contact names. So if I was looking at quickly reporting on that by status, I can quickly say, CFC, request status, I want that to be a filter. There are my different statuses within the app. And if I wanted to then say, right, okay, I want to know debtor ID. If I just choose some of these fields and bang them into a table, registered addresses. I'm just creating this nice quick table of all the details. You'd format it to be how you wanted it to be. If I wanted to look at credit limit, if I just expand that out. And then if I wanted to filter that now, these are all the credit limits that we've done. What's the way to review? Well, there it is. What T's and C's are signed, there it is. So very easily, with the structure of the data within a Power App, with how Power Apps can be done, you can get these analytics. You can get on user who approved, who's done what statuses things are at. And bearing in mind that the reporting now allows, and Power BI especially, and other reporting tools that are used throughout the customers that we have, allow multiple data sources to be loaded. It really does, and I go back to it, Power Apps enables even further than where you probably are now, full 360, full analytic reporting. because of the structure and the ease of the data table. So, we saw the step count, we saw those different types of apps, model-driven apps, very modular-based, model-based, Canvas apps, tailored, bit easier to use for data entry, and a lot nicer. So, just to go through this and sort of wrap it up, where do we come in with this if you want to adopt Power Apps to sort of take away some of your manual processes? Well, we work with Power Apps, we work with the Power Platform on a daily basis. And if I look at this sort of visual from the bottom up, one thing when you're doing this, if you're pulling data in from other systems to pushing data to other systems, you've got to understand that data source. And we understand the table structure, we understand the table structure of the apps, we add to the apps, we can layer on the apps, but we also understand if you are linking to CRM, GP, PC, I365, and just want standalone data, we understand that data source. We also know how to build those integrations via Power Automate. We, as you've seen on here, if you've been on any of the sorts of sessions I do, the end-to-end sessions across our ERP systems, all our thought pattern is at all time is what governance and what reporting do organizations need to get to the back end of the system. Our consultants work with Power BI, they work with the reporting tools. And as you saw there, it's one of them systems it's governed, but if the data is in the Power App, you'll be able to report on it, and you'll be able to slice and dice on that data. We also offer Power App training. So, we do, and Microsoft do, app in a day courses, and things like that. Now, the app in a day courses are great, but they are in a day, so depending on what sorts of requirements you have. This is something that is low code. That Microsoft pushed that this can be done by citizen developers. You don't need to be coding genius. You don't need to be the sort of developer sat in a dark room for sort of 8 weeks and then come away. Now, on some of the apps that we've done, yes, you do, but generally it's easier low-code app creation. But we have Power Platform-based consultants who we either create them for you, we create them with you, or we can do training and allow you to do that. And one of the things with Power Apps is they are very, very flexible. Your Power App, you share your Power Apps with people in your organization. You have to make sure they have the relevant Power App licenses, but you can see, they are flexible. We can tweak, we can make mandatory, we can do this. So they are very, very scalable and flexible with regards to your ongoing requirements. If things change, if you want to have more governance over certain areas, as your partner, hopefully, we can create, adapt, flex, work with you to really ensure that these apps are where they need to be, dependent on your organizational sort of focus, either short term or long term. They are that flexible, and we build these Power Apps from the bottom up. The structure is there, but we can do whatever it needs to do. And having that conversation with some customers at times is difficult because the answer will be in 99.99% of cases, tell us what you want and we can build it. Now, obviously, the more you want, the more that's going to cost. But it's good for us to say, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can build that in. Yeah, we can build that in. It's getting that scalable product and getting that right so that you don't go off at a million tangents in one and make it an absolute beast. This is why the Power Apps per user plan, you can have smaller apps all working over the common references, making sure that people just have access to what they need. And also for me, the governance side of it, it does help us keep people outside of GP, of the finance systems. Very old school. I like my ERP systems to be for ERP people. So this really does enable, Power Apps enables people to get data, you can view data, you can go through all that sort of stuff in a Power App without giving them access to the core financial system. And that's an introduction, really. I hope you see the benefit of what Power Apps can do. I've said it about 300 times, and I won't make an apology for it. Power Apps do provide structure, governance, over manual processes. And that's where most organizations do still have them. They have approval things that go through and people's emails are papers flying around. Power Apps can really structure that and provide that additional governance that. And obviously, you know, this is all paperless. So it's not just regards to, you know, us selling Power Apps. It's, you know, you're removing the paper, you're attaching stuff. It makes it more efficient using Power App technology. Now, obviously, again, that's it. We can do anything with it. So conversations, happy to have conversations. My contact details are there. Your account managers are fully au fait with Power Apps and what functionality they can do. They can link to systems, they can stand alone, however you want to do it. But please, if you want to learn more, if you want to have a more detailed session, if you want to talk through some sort of ideas that you've got, please do not hesitate to either contact me or your account manager. We've also got some further resources on our website, and over the next sort of 2 or 3 months, there are a number of webinars on different things that we're doing. Please check them all out at enmance.com/events. There's a number that I'm doing. There's a number of generic sort of CRM, Microsoft Stack sort of events as well. So please do have a look there, and hopefully we'll speak to you all soon. Just before I go, there will be a survey that comes up at the end of this session. Please feel free to, I don't take anything personally, so please be honest in your feedback. Anything that is put in there is taken on board. We do listen to it and we do learn. And there is the option there to suggest additional webinars that may not be in the schedule. So yeah, please do fill in that the survey. And hopefully speak to you all soon. And I hope you've enjoyed that last sort of 40 minutes or so. Brill, contact me please if you need anything else. But thank you very much and take care everybody. Thank you.